Hello everybody, the Farming Man here with a little mod review. Well, it's not really a mod review. It's more of a DLC review for console players and pre-order people. And we have the T6 Blue Power 125 and the Mahindra Retriever. Now, let's first check out these two in the shop. The T6 I believe can be found in small tractors. No, it's found in medium. It's of course at the end because it's a mod. The wheel customizations, well, the wheel brands are Trelleborg, at least I think that's how it's pronounced. Then we have Nokian, which makes it look more road fit than actual off-road fit. Then there's the wheel weights, wide tires with wheel weights, narrow tires for fertilization, rear twin wheels, and then just straight twin wheels. Then there's the engine setups, which is one T6 125, which has 125 horsepower, 155 with 155 horsepower, and then 75 with 175 horsepower. Then you can of course have a front loader or not on it. Then we'll look at the Mahindra, which could be found in cars, and it doesn't have any customizations on it. It has 83 horsepower and the max speed of 60 miles per hour. And let's take a quick look at the T6. It's a decent sounding engine. Of course the cab lights up and everything. And let's see, does the gear shifter, well, the pedals move, but that shifter thing doesn't move. I don't know if that's meant to move or not, but it is very interesting. And I also just want to see what the screens look like whenever they're off, so hold on a quick minute. Have to change a couple settings. There it is. So if I just turn off the vehicle, everything shuts off. The speedometers are electric from what I can tell. It does have a nice sunroof. And it does have blue power written on the seats as well, if you can manage to turn your head around like some weird creature from a movie. Has a passenger seat as well. Although of course we know that Farm Sim doesn't support multiple people inside vehicles. So let's drive around for a quick spin, why don't we? Decent sounding whenever driving. Sounds pretty much like your average tractor. Maximum speed of 32 miles per hour. And everything your normal tractor would have. This is pretty much good for any starting tractor if you want one. As of course the T6 usually is a good one for it. And why don't we see it with the front loader on it? So we just go customize it here, and I will get it all ready. As you can see, I now have the T6 with the FZ30 stall front loader and the bale spike. And the T6 is very decent at what the normal front loader tractor would be doing, such as stacking bales, loading logs, and everything a traditional front loader tractor would be doing. But, of course, it's fairly decent for a small scale tractor. For pretty much if you want a decent tractor to start on your farm, if you're doing the farm manager game mode, clearly this is the one for you. I just completely messed that up. But as you can tell, it's pretty decent with what it's pretty much built for. The beacons are of course pretty decent, as usual tractor beacons are. Lights, fairly, well, I guess good for lights on a tractor. Even without nighttime, they still look pretty decent. Now shall we get on to the Mahindra Retriever. The Mahindra Retriever is of course a decent sized side-by-side with a small bed on the rear with tension belts. The actual doesn't actually have proper doors. It has sort of fabric-like doors which clip on. It has, from what I can tell, a 1000cc engine, a front cargo hold. At least that's what I think it is. There's the Mahindra logo on the front, and unfortunately there's no customization. I would like if you could take off these doors because they really don't look good. But shall we take it for a spin? Of course, let's start the engine first. Actually, it does have a electric speedometer and everything. Turns out speedometer appears on the dash cam. Has for some reason 3 cup holders, which is a bit excessive when you have one right there, and there, when this is a 2-passenger fit vehicle. Actually, no, it's 3 passenger. That's interesting. It would be quite cramped with how tight side-by-sides are. But it has a max speed of 60 miles an hour. Decent turning radius, and I do like the detail of the gear shifter actually moving. It does have a glove box, steering wheel. Does turn quite a bit. Has a very actually realistic sounding engine. However, if you actually drive around quite a bit, you'll notice that it will start easily tipping over on certain areas. Such as if you drive over a rail, going at a certain angle, for instance, you'll notice that it bounces around quite a bit. Like that. And of course, you could very easily get it stuck. But of course, I hope none of you guys are complete idiots with driving your side-by-sides onto tracks. The Mahindra, of course, actually has a slight storage capacity inside the rear bed, which can hold up to, let's see, 460 liters, which I'll be honest is fairly small sometimes. But if you're just going to use it for feeding your animals, such as if you have like, let's say 30 chickens or something like that, this could be very useful for if you don't want to take the entire pallet over there. I'd say it is pretty decent for what it's used for. It's pretty good at getting around the farm too. It's good on off-road trails. But it's very nimble as well. And honestly, it just seems like a very decent sort of vehicle for as cheap as it is. It's also the very cheapest vehicle. The pickup truck, I think it's 50,000. The old one is 30,000. And this thing's only 17,000, which is a really decent price for what it is. Of course, there's one more thing I must find out. One complaint I do have about the Mahindra is how, if you look, even if you have the bed door open, the actual hitbox for it, or whatever other people call it, doesn't actually move. Meaning that if you want to put a pallet or something in here, that's going to be very annoying. Because if it wasn't like that, this bale would have either flopped over or rolled out. But of course, I'm going to see whether or not the Mahindra can drive around with at least one silage bale. Seems to be handling it actually pretty well. Although it's very top heavy. In fact, good luck taking any turn with it. I'd say just stick with your small trailer if you're starting on a small farm, or your big old bale trailer if you're starting on a big farm at least. As you can see, it's not very well built for bale transportation. Overall, I'd say these two vehicles are very well fit for what they're designed to do. T6 for small-scale farming, and pretty much anything a fellow train would do. Bale loading, forestry, anything you really need to do. The Mahindra is good for getting around the farm if you don't want to spend money on the pickup truck, and the bed makes it really useful for transporting small-scale items like, say, the eggs. Because, to be honest, I don't think buying a large trailer for just a small box of eggs is really that much of a big point. So, I'd say these two vehicles are pretty good. This has been the Farming Man. My link to my Discord will be in the, not the description, but the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, do whatever you feel like doing. And we'll see you in the next video.